Good afternoon, meteorologist Mike Prangley. It's our 11 a.m. officially ready for a great afternoon, and hopefully you're enjoying your family, friends, and being thoughtful this weekend for what it's all about, right? Honoring our heroes as we go into Memorial Day. We've got your updated forecast here, and that does include timing out the best of the lightning. When we're going to see most of that lightning today, a drier forecast tomorrow, and maybe, just maybe, some real beneficial rain in that long-range forecast. So I've got your 7 and your 10-day forecast. But I always start with you and the highlights of the week. And without further ado, as we go to the weather computer, I want to thank Katrina, our wonderful director, producer, / everything, calling this up for me. There he is, Dr. James Hawley. Yes. You may know him as the all-star pitcher from Bartram Trail High School, who actually got his doctorate from Mizzou. And, quite the pitcher. Went to Rollins, some 92-mile-per-hour fastballs, but he outsmarted his competition with some change-ups. And he's a smart guy and a great guy. I'm glad he's part of the Prangley family. So, James, hats off to you here. Great job in getting your doctorate, doctor. And then you see his beautiful Bo there with him. There he is. So Bo, the golden doodle, my grand dog, Bo, I'll be out there and I'll be walking Bo here this afternoon. But it looks like some shorter dog walks on the way. The main thing we're watching today would be the heat more than the storms, and we'll get to that. A second thing, shout out to not just James, but all of the graduates. There's a lot of graduation parties going on this weekend. And this past week, of course, we all eyes to the sky as we woke up on Thursday morning. Here's what it looked like. You see what I see? Yeah, isn't that beautiful? I want to thank Jim Mays for capturing this. This was actually taken here at First Coast News, and we were looking east, and that was a SpaceX launch. And you see how the clouds kind of glow, that trail glowing behind them? We got clouds forming about 50, 60 miles high up in the atmosphere, in a form of noctilucent clouds, also nicknamed jellyfish clouds. They weren't as brilliant as they normally are because the launch was closer to sunrise. Now, if we had that launch like 4:35 a.m., then it really would have reflected that sunlight off those ice crystals, and just a beautiful shot there. And aren't we lucky to live here? So many reasons. These launches never get old. So one of these days I got to get down to the Cape and not just be here stuck at the Chroma Key. So I'm going to have to put that on my list of things to do here in the near future. So in case you missed it, there's what it looked like. And we talked about those special clouds, sometimes called jellyfish clouds. Yeah, they got a little bit of a tentacles to them behind there. Basically, you have the exhaust of SpaceX, and basically that freezes up at 50 miles high, and those crystals, ice crystals, and the exhaust just reflecting that sunlight beautifully there. And you see a shot of the Hart Bridge and our beautiful downtown as we all woke up. And speaking of our beautiful downtown, it's a beautiful day. Yes, we're not getting all the heavy rain they've seen up in Atlanta, the Carolinas. It's been tough up there to Tennessee, and I know we have a lot of travelers. I got some family here safely, so that was my big thing. And my big thing is to treat you like my family, get you to where you need to be safely. And it looks like today, again, just be extra careful. Once you get to Valdosta northward, we've got a stalled front. It didn't make it even to Georgia. This front is up in the mid-Atlantic. We talked about that by the middle of last week, and that's why we didn't have rain chances that were widespread beneficial. But we said we'd have to worry about those typical pop-up storms, and that's what we're seeing. So this morning, we woke up to, a few thunderstorms offshore, but that's typical this time of year. That's the Gulf Stream, energized by the heat overnight. So usually you see the nocturnal convection or thunderstorms that develop as we're sleeping. And then it just kind of fades as the day goes on. And then the focus of the energy shifts from the sea, where it's warmer, to the land that heats up, and the land becomes the area of low pressure and it's warmer. So that's where we get our next batch of storms, and this is really showing you what's going to happen today. Where is most of the sea breeze storms going to be today? The west coast of Florida. Where does our sea breeze season start first? South and central Florida, right. Sometimes, though, we do see the first signs of that sea breeze thunderstorm season and rainy season start to crop up here on the first coast, even for Memorial Day weekend. And that's what we're going to get, just a taste of that, all right? Not a huge deal, but it's a big deal when it comes to lightning. All right, so this is what we talked about this morning. You talk about every storm system, comes through. We get scattered thunderstorms. There's always going to be a threat, right? But we know what the main threat is. It's lightning. This should be front and center. This should be the future Why we don't issue lightning or excessive lightning warnings, beyond me. This is the number one threat with thunderstorms, especially here in the deep south and Florida. And as you can see, it's like rip currents. It's like the hidden danger folks forget about, rip currents. Yeah, rip currents, of course, unfortunately, cause so many fatalities here every year that you don't realize. In fact, it averages up to about 100 people. And then we've got the lightning factor. We're getting better at warning, okay, with the apps we have, with the streaming around the clock, but we still have a long way to go. And the big thing is we all are guilty of this. We hear the thunder, we're busy. I could be throwing the ball to Bo or Cooper this afternoon. I said, okay, I hear a little thunder in the distance. But if you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning. So as we look at where we are, so look at the humanoid there, the human figure. It's not raining where that person is, right? So you should be okay? Wrong. Okay, so problem is these clouds form and they develop and they grow to 5 miles high, way up there. It's so cold at the top of these clouds. It's like minus 30, minus 40 degrees, and you get these ice crystals, okay? So you get like a big snowball fight. The problem is top of the cloud, we got the ice crystals, bottom you got the rain, and you're getting updrafts, downdrafts. What happens? Oh, it's like a washing machine. Oh, yeah, and we're getting the friction, and we're getting the lightning as a result. And the big thing to make out here, oh, yes, that lightning's traveling 10 to 15 miles from the parent cumulonimbus storm, and that's where we get into trouble. In fact, I've done stories on even sisters in Indiana that were playing tennis when there were blue skies outside. One sister said, yeah, I think I heard some thunder. The other sister said, I didn't hear anything, and unfortunately, they were struck by lightning. They're okay, thank goodness. But stories like that, bolts out of the blue, that happens here in Florida. That is our number one weather concern this time of year, including today. In fact, as we take a look at our lightning tracker here, we're talking about where you see the brighter reds and yellows, whites. That's where we could see the highest proliferation of lightning. Yesterday, at one time, we had 2,000 lightning strikes per hour over some of these thunderstorms that were slow moving. Today, again, once you get to Highway 301, Stark, Keystone Heights, moving up toward McClenny, Sanderson, up into the Okefenokee, and we'll put in Waycross once again today. Those would be the areas, and I know we're watching the Blue Crab Festival in areas of Putnam County, and they had that thunderstorm yesterday, but still right now it still looks like, again, Metro Jack's dodging most of the storms. This is not a surprise. These are just pop-up sea breeze storms with the front staying well to the north. But watch what happens, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Yeah, the storms, the top of the storm's actually blowing to the east, all right? So sometimes some of these storms try to hold together, and you get kind of what we call leftovers. Even though the main storm track and the thunderstorm track will be inland, we could get a thunderstorm or two that tries to hold together and comes closer to Metro Jacksonville. So west side, really west of the St. John's, watching Clay County once again, Nassau County, especially I-95 to the west, where we could see an evening storm. So that's really the forecast. Best chance of that pop-up storm in Metro Jacksonville would be this evening. Most of the day dry, hot, 90 degrees. That's why we got the lightning tracker reminding you of lightning safety. So if you're coming downtown, this is all fresh information here at 11 a.m. I know we're going to replay this show here early afternoon. And of course, we'll have an update coming this evening. And what we're going to see is best chance of lightning here downtown. That's shifted a little bit. Earlier this morning, it was 70% highest chance around 6 o'clock. Now the models are saying, well, maybe it'll come a little earlier. We said late day evening, so that works. So 4, 6 o'clock. And then by 8 p.m., notice much lower chances of rain. So if you're in under one of these thunderstorms that are not widespread, for sure, just keep in mind they could last an hour or two, and we need to get to our safe spots, and that includes the Jacksonville Jazz Fest. So unlike yesterday where we dodged the rain, today would have a little higher chance of some of that lightning here downtown. We'll keep an eye on it. Of course, the Jazz Fest, this is the grand finale going through 10 p.m. Looking at high-res futurecast, and yes, this is showing it's just a model. They usually have trouble forecasting thunderstorms, so be very careful what you watch out there. You got all meteorologists playing futurecast. Well, they don't do well in this sort of situation. So you got to really watch things closely. You watch your weather watchers, the clouds, real-time data, watching the different models, averaging them, and seeing what's really happening. And that's what our weather team does here. So as you look toward 5, 6 o'clock, you can see most of those storms really west of I-75. See how they're trying to drift east. still keeping most of that activity west of Metro Jacksonville. So that 70-80% chance you saw there that included the Jazz Fest. Basically, I'm looking at the latest trends, and even though we said there could be a little higher risk of lightning downtown, latest trends are saying maybe not. So just one thing to note, my forecast, though, did have a better chance here in Metro Jacksonville, giving you an idea of how my forecast may be better or a little different than the human forecast. I think always wins compared to the computer forecast. But keeping our guard up for lightning is the main gist of the story, and staying cool. We'll talk about, yes, with that high-res futurecast showing that evening thunderstorm, but we've got a lot to talk about in that 7-day, including when we'll see a better chance of more widespread cooling showers and storms. I'll have that coming up. Maybe even a special surprise. Chop chop is your hint, so don't go away. Chop chop.
That is the Protector.
This truck is a beast.
It's got all the tools on it. I love how big the tires are.
And this is going to be able to show you the weather around the First Coast like you've never seen it before.
The Protector really is going to help protect the community.
So you can see what it looks like on the ground. And that allows folks to really take action and do something about it.
And it gives us that edge in continuing to be the most accurate weather team.
Sponsored by HananiahAutos.com.
I'm Keitha Nelson. Good morning, Jacksonville anchor and mom of twins, Journey and Trey. I'm on your side, getting you out the door and off to a great start. Make the move to Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
First Coast Living Live.
Bringing you closer to the tastiest food.
The best shopping.
And family fun.
Woo!
Jordan Wilkerson and David Benfield. First Coast Living Live. Weekdays at 11 a.m. only on NBC 12.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
The First Coast News weather team is here to deliver your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather and up-to-the-minute information on First Coast News Plus.
The wave of moisture rolls its way on in here.
Our team is the most equipped and experienced to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
Check it out. Yes. All right. We got alligators. There's the chop chop in the forecast. St. Augustine Alligator Farm here, taking a live look at the gators. You know, they love this weather. They love when it gets sultry and hot out. We're talking temperatures today of 90. If you go in the shade, feeling more like 100. And yeah, those gators are loving it. Look a little frisky. And you know, we talked about when it got cold this winter, those gators would barely budge. They almost went into a dormancy or a hibernation type state. But today, yeah, just watch for the eyes. Look at those eyes coming out of the water. And if you're military, member of the military, you get a 10% discount at St. Augustine Alligator Farms. Always a fun time. I believe they have a fun zip line you may want to check out. Or how about a beach day? Oh, yeah. We said keep your beach plans all weekend long because most of those storms, those lightning areas that we're watching this afternoon would stay well to the west of the beaches, and that forecast is holding true. I mean, rain chances right there where you're looking at the pier. I can update that for the rest of today, close to 20%, if not lower. And then the updated, if you look at your little phones out there, it's saying, well, it says 70%. What's going on? Well, it's a phone. It's not a meteorologist. That's why we pinpoint the sea breezes, where the storms are going to form, your updated information on what's happening where you live. All right, it makes a difference. You ready to go to your forecast? St. Augustine, let's go. Okay, so this is the best of both worlds. What I did is I went in this forecast, looked at the latest model data, and if you look at St. Augustine, that 60% chance at 4 o'clock would really be toward the Outlet Mall. Okay, so if you got plans walking around the fort, I don't see the rain. You have plans St. Augustine Beach, keep them. And it looks like that 60% chance of a shower would be isolated. That's not for all of St. Augustine. One of those days where the whole city does not get the rain. That wouldn't be until later next week. And the big story, look at the temperatures. We said it's going to be hot. Well, hey, at least a nice sea breeze coming in. 85 degrees, one of the spots where you can maybe cool off a little bit. Right by that wall by the fort, we can sit with some ice cream and enjoy. And then this evening, oh, it doesn't get any better. I mean, look at the temperature right around 80 degrees with low rain chances. I showed you the Jacksonville Beach Pier. You see the rain chance at 30%, but that's why we stream live around the clock, Weather Impact Live. We told you 20% at highest now is the update at the Jacksonville Beach. We'll keep that information coming. High rip current risk, burn time 10 to 15 minutes. It's not going to take long out there. Look at the water temperature, though. It's really getting up there at 79. Rip current still on the higher side. Okay, I stay near the lifeguard. Be extra careful. As long as we have that east-southeast flow we've seen for several days, that water can build up. And the high tide, what you need to know, the worst of the rip currents would be as the tide is heading out. So right now the tide is coming in, and once we get toward late afternoon or evening, really keep your guard up for the worst of the rip current. Surf height, about 2 to 3 feet, but a bit of a wind chop out there for sure. We take a look at the forecast. Just joining us here on Weather Impact Live. We appreciate you joining us for part of your Memorial Day weekend. I know it's a big weekend. We're honoring our heroes tomorrow. So many events going on around town with that. We're with family, friends. I've got a house full of wonderful family here. And I tell you what, today I have mostly sunny, maybe a pop-up evening storm. This is not a huge deal. So again, a lot of folks get really worried. They email, they said, oh my gosh, there's a big, my iPhone has rain all day. I said, no, it's not going to rain all day. That's why I needed to be here. Okay. We take a look at the sunset, 8:20 p.m. We take a look at the daily downpour areas that would have the best chance of a pop-up storm. We got Waycross, Keystone Heights, Stark. So again, we said the Highway 301 corridor back toward the Okefenokee. But if you look here closely, you see what I'm seeing? Those temperatures are the big story. The feels like temperatures, mid-90s to near 100. But yeah, we're talking about not just the heat, but maybe 1,000 volts per hour if you're out down toward Keystone. So a lot of lightning in some of these storms that can build up. They'll last an hour or two. You see 1 to 2 hours of rain, Stark. And they could put down a quick ½ inch to 1 inch of rain. And yet, as always, as these storms build to 40, 50,000 feet, we could have some gusty winds. We could go over that with every thunderstorm. So we'll keep an eye on the gusty winds. But at this point, lightning, and lightning safety. We take a look at the next 12 hours, and as we take a look, we're talking about most of the models have been very consistent. All the new data coming in, a mixed mesh of all the new stuff I've looked at, still saying if we do get some of these pop-up showers and storms, it would be mainly late day, early evening, not a washout, so it holds. And you see the hourlies up near 90 degrees by 2 o'clock. You see that brief shower at 2 p.m., yeah, just a 40% chance of that. So plenty of sunshine out there. Tomorrow, there's a change. We talked about the water vapor imagery and a dry slot trying to move in as we head into Memorial Day. We showed you that on Good Morning Jacksonville in the middle of last week. And certainly, yeah, the models are finally catching on. They were slow. I mean, they kept us up at 60, 70% all weekend. But again, they have trouble in these situations. So notice now finally coming around down to 20% as we head into noon and 2 o'clock. Memorial Day observance, yes, Veterans Memorial Wall here downtown. Special ceremony begins at 8 a.m. So if you have plans, it should be dry, very low chances of rain. I have a 20% chance of a sprinkle here downtown, but that wouldn't be until 1 o'clock. The temperature still will be toasty a bit. A few clouds mixed with sunshine, 77 back in the mid-80s by 1 o'clock with our high near 90. In fact, your most up-to-date and accurate Memorial Day forecast, there it is. I've got 89 tomorrow officially for our high, just an isolated afternoon storm. But the coverage should be much less than today with that southeast wind at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So being thoughtful this weekend, certainly. And yeah, we're taking a look, okay, so we're going to get through the Memorial Day weekend with drier weather. What about the deep moisture? What about all of that green there? Okay, we've got a couple things happening. You've got an area of low pressure that we're going to be tracking across the deep south this week. The question is, will that low pressure get over the warm Gulf waters? Could we have maybe 1 or 2 low pressures? The big thing you notice is something is happening that we haven't seen. We haven't seen this very often over the last few months. It's the Gulf of America waking up. A lot of deep, rich tropical moisture. Here's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, sometimes you have to watch the Gulf for tropical development, even this time of year, okay, as we are almost at June 1st. Not seeing that at this point, and there's so much wind shear over the Gulf. Anything that would develop would be very disorganized. So the good news is we can root for this Gulf low this week. We know it's not going to be a hurricane. Could be just a big sloppy low that just develops and drops several inches of rain over us as we head into late next week, maybe next weekend at this time. So that's what we're going to be watching here closely. Future rain totals. All right, notice watching the Gulf on the GFS model, beneficial rain. All right, there it is. That's through next weekend, through Tuesday, June 2nd. And here's the Euro model, more bullish, where the entire Gulf was encompassed by maybe an area of low pressure. Notice we're in the reds and greens. That's good. 2 to 4 inches plus of rain between now and June 2nd. Watching the Gulf for possible beneficial rain. We look at the water temperatures. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that at this point. But again, not expecting anything to blossom like a hurricane out of this. But you can never rule out maybe a tropical entity. So another reason to check back this week. I'll be working on that. We take a look at the big, we'll take a quick break here coming up at a big 10-day outlook here. We've got, of course, that pop-up shower storm this afternoon, lower chances tomorrow, but there's that beneficial rainfall. And based on the Euro and the GFS I showed you, I do think we do have better chances of some heavy rain, but that wouldn't be until as we finish May 30th, 31st. That could be next weekend into the early part of June. So pretty amazing. So coming up, we're going to finish this show with a nice bow tie and have an update on the tropics. Okay, there was a forecast that came out this week, and I'll help make sense of it all for you right after this.
That is the Protector.
This truck is a beast.
It's got all the tools on it. I love how big the tires are.
And this is going to be able to show you the weather around the First Coast like you've never seen it before.
The Protector really is going to help protect the community.
So you can see what it looks like on the ground. And that allows folks to really take action and do something about it.
And it gives us that edge in continuing to be the most accurate weather team.
Sponsored by HananiahAutos.com.
I'm Keitha Nelson. Good morning, Jacksonville anchor and mom of twins, Journey and Trey. I'm on your side, getting you out the door and off to a great start. Make the move. So Good Morning Jacksonville on First Coast News. Weekdays from 4:30 to 9, anywhere you watch.
First Coast Living Live.
Bringing you closer to the tastiest food.
The best shopping.
And family fun. Woo!
Jordan Wilkerson and David Benfield. First Coast Living, live. Weekdays at 11 a.m. only on NBC 12.
We have new details about a heavy police presence in Jacksonville Beach.
Driver fired gunshots along the interstate today, prompting a police chase.
Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
The First Coast News weather team is here to deliver your most accurate forecast with weather impact alerts to warn you about severe weather and up-to-the-minute information on First Coast News Plus.
The wave of moisture rolls its way on in here.
Our team is the most equipped and experienced to help you prepare and keep you safe.
The First Coast News weather team is always on your side. Stream extended coverage on First Coast News Plus.
It's great to be with you, and as we take a look at one of the highlights of the week, you, as always. So got to head out there and enjoy company. The CPCU of North Florida. I enjoyed your hospitality, and we talked hurricane season. So look at all those smiling faces. We shared, what we're talking about for this hurricane season, and really the behind the scenes, what we're looking at. Okay, so the main thing is we treat every hurricane season the same way. And we got this NOAA or Atlantic hurricane season outlook. Do we really need to go over numbers every year like this? I mean, last year, this reminds me of last year. So last year, of course, we talked about, we got these numbers with historic numbers were expected. One of our most active hurricane seasons ever were predicted. And the pie chart looks just like this. The chance of it being wrong was like 10%. So you see, look at the pie chart there, 55% chance of below normal, 10% chance of above normal. So this is basically flipped of what we saw last year. They're talking below normal. Last year we were talking about maybe historic. So again, you've got to take all these forecasts with a grain of salt, especially when they're giving numbers, 8 to 14, 3 to 6, 1 to 3 major hurricanes. because it only takes one hurricane for a bad season. So we talked about things like that. In fact, you hear about the averages being below average. I disagree. We look at the 100-year average for hurricanes. You need to look at a bigger cross section, not just the last 30 years. 11 is the average, 6 hurricanes, 2 major hurricanes. So what I'm looking at is a season, again, based on the averages over 100 years, staying above normal. So another reason not to get too caught up, oh, we're excited about the below normal. We're talking about basically going from an INSO neutral to an El Nino this year. And as that warm water sloughs to the east here, it's going to help increase the wind shear. So the thinking is that's why you're seeing these forecasts with some below normal numbers. But with that said, the good news for us is that gets us more into a stormy wet pattern. We're not going to be as hot or dry as last summer. I'm excited about that. And the Caribbean should be at least quieter. I mean, the wind shear will help matters. But we got to keep our guard up because last time we had a big El Nino develop, things didn't work out so well. And you can see the normal wind flow in the atmosphere. It really literally rips the top off of some of these thunderstorms as they try to organize into an area of low pressure. But this season, keeping our guard up, and the one thing that overrides the Pacific and the El Nino a lot of times is warm water. And we're still running 2-3 degrees Celsius above normal in the hot spots we look at where storms develop. Main development region, okay, and also closer to home near Cuba and the Caribbean. So as we look at the names, yeah, it only takes one, and you see what happened in 2023 with our last El Nino. We had 20 named storms. So we're not going to get caught up definitely on the numbers. And here's a look at those names and numbers. So, hey, good news. We've got a wonderful day. We're going to stay prepared for hurricane season, developing that evacuation plan, know your home, know your zone, and know, of course, your insurance policy as well. I appreciate you being with me. Find your cool spots. And when the thunder roars, find your safe spots. Have a wonderful afternoon.